there are two kinds of weight limitations. One is called structural limit, other is called performance limit. What does the structural limit means? Means the manufacturer will give you the max allowed takeoff weight for the aircraft. So that's called MTOW. That is max authorized takeoff weight without compromising structure integrity. If your manufacturer suggests the max takeoff weight for this aircraft is 76 tons, which means you can operate the aircraft safely. If you take more than 76 tons, it may compromise structure integrity. So this is the limit imposed by the structural integrity and given by the manufacturer. Similarly, he'll also give you the same limit for landing weight. He'll also give you the max authorized landing weight for this aircraft is, let's say, 67 tons. So you're taking off from 76 tons. When you land, your weight should be less than 67 tons, just for example. If it is more than 67 tons, that means you're not supposed to land with weight beyond max allowed landing weight. But in practice, or there are procedure where aircraft can land more than max allowed landing weight. For example, let's say you take off from Delhi with max allowed takeoff weight 76 tons. Immediately after departure, you lose one engine. Now you have to land back in Delhi. Max landing weight is 70 tons. Dumping fuel is not an option for Airbus or 737 or A320. So they have a procedure called overweight landing. But that is done in case of emergency. In normal condition, the manufacturer is giving you limit. Okay, this is the max authorized landing weight, which you are supposed to land either with less than this or equal to this, not more than this. Correct? So if I say my landing weight is 62 tons, is it, you will take it as the actual landing weight or a structural limit? Actual landing weight. So always remember there is a difference in landing weight and MLW, max allowed landing weight. In some question you might get confused. If they give you the landing weight, you consider it max allowed landing weight. So no, these are two different things. It may be the case that actual weight is same as max landing weight. In some cases it could be there, right? But they are different. Similarly, there is third structural limit, which is called MZFW. Max zero fuel weight. Means this is the maximum authorized weight without fuel. There is a limitation due to wing wanding, which is and so that you must have some fuel in the wing so that it doesn't twist. So to prevent that, there is some minimum fuel must be there. So that's why they also impose a limit called maximum zero fuel weight. So maximum zero fuel weight is the weight of aircraft, maximum allowed weight without fuel. Is that okay? These are three prominent structural limit given by the manufacturer. Apart from that, other limits which is imposed on the weight of aircraft, those are called performance limits. One is called field limiting takeoff weight. So now what is this? Okay, be careful, okay? Let's say this is your runway, okay? And have you heard about something called clearway? Hota hai? Okay. So there is a runway and your clearway. Takeoff is generally completed in two phases. One is ground roll and then initial climb from wheel off to screen height. So one is ground roll up to wheel off, lift off speed. Then from there climb to screen height. Okay? So it is completed in two phases. One is ground roll. This is the ground roll section and this is the initial climb section. Any takeoff is legal only when, in case of an engine inoperative, you must reach screen height by the end of clearway. If you are unable to reach screen height by the end of the clearway, that takeoff is not legal. For example, today I am carrying the takeoff weight. My takeoff weight is 50 tons. My takeoff weight is 50 tons. I takes off from here, lift off here, takes off from here, lift off at this point. I loses one of my engine, and then I am reaching 35 feet here. You must reach 35 feet before the end of the runway. So by this, you must gain the screen height. If you are not, means you cannot take off that way. So what do you do in this case? You have to reduce weight, right? So that when you reduce weight, you will climb better, you will lift off early. So rather than 50 tons, then what you did, then you realize, you said, okay, let's go with 45 tons. When you takes off with 45 tons, you are exactly lifting off. This is your runway. This is your clearway. You take off weight 50 tons. With 50 tons, what is happening? You are lifting off here, and then you are reaching 35 feet here. Here you are reaching screen height. This is possible. Is this takeoff possible? No. What option do you have? Reduce weight. So now you decided, okay, this is not possible. Let me reduce weight to, now take off weight to 45 tons. With 45 tons, you are lifting off here. You are reaching 35 feet at this point. Just for example, don't go on the diagram. Let's say at this point, with 45 tons, you are reaching screen height. Is this takeoff possible? It is possible. Can I take 45.1 tons? Huh? No or huh? Yes. You cannot, because if you do, you will cross the clearway and you will reach screen height after end of the clearway, which is not allowed. So this 45 tons becomes a field limiting takeoff weight. Though my structural limiting takeoff weight is 67 tons, but my field limiting takeoff weight in Patna is 45 tons. Which weight will I carry? 45 tons? Because let's not use this runway for takeoff. Use other runway on this. There are two runways on this airport. Let's take the different runway. And the different runway has runway length higher and clearway is still here. Can I take more weight on this runway? I can carry more weight. So for this runway, my performance limiting takeoff mass would be something else. This is about field limiting takeoff weight. Now there is another performance limiting takeoff weight is called climb limiting takeoff weight. First was field limiting takeoff weight. Second is climb limiting takeoff weight. So any aircraft which is taking off, if it loses its engine, there is minimum regulatory climb gradient that every aircraft has to minimum climb at that gradient. Clear? So for example, today my takeoff weight is 60 tons. With 60 tons, I am lifting off here and achieving, let's say, climb gradient of 1 point, and I lose one of my engine, I am achieving a climb gradient of 1.2%. And minimum regulatory requirement, for example, is 2.4%. Can you take off? Is this takeoff legal? What option do you have? Reduce weight. So let's say you have reduced weight to 55 and you are reaching, now you are getting climb gradient of 2%. Is that legal? Can you take off? No. What do? Further reduce weight. So you reduce it to 50. When you reduce your takeoff weight to 50 tons, you are getting 2.4% climb gradient. Can you take off now? Minimum regulatory requirement was 2.2, for example, and you are achieving 2.4. Is it allowed?
Yes.
You can take off this weight. Will you call this climb limiting takeoff weight? Yes? how can this be a limit? I can, because minimum required is 2.2. I'm getting 2.4. So I'm getting better. I can take little more mass. Minimum required is 2.2, right? I'm getting gradient of 2.4. Means I have some buffer to increase this weight to maybe 51 tons. And when I take 51 tons, I am getting exactly gradient of 2.2%. This becomes my limit. I cannot further increase my takeoff weight in this case. So right now, takeoff weight 51 will be called climb limiting takeoff weight. Though my structural takeoff weight is 76 tons, but can I carry 76 tons? No. So today your takeoff weight is limited by what? Performance. And under performance what? Climb. Is that okay?